Architecture. When you hear that word, what do you think of? Most likely of just the way a building is constructed, and of the way one looks. But it goes far beyond just the aesthetics. How, you say? To answer that question in a more interesting fashion, I've decided to go to a location where the architecture is not a very common thing to talk about, and learn how it may have affected said location. And I believe I have found the perfect one. It all starts when you arrive to Hamburg, Wilhelmsburg. Rather quickly, you take notice of the variety of buildings around you. Some of them are huge, some small, striped, artistic, some old, rectangular, or even floral. It's getting interesting now, isn't it? Well, if you desire a good taste of what Wilhelmsburg's architecture has to offer, I'd suggest making your way to Seoul Park. That is the Welder House, which is a combination of a gallery, a science center, and a hotel. Although there may not be many forests nearby, this place allows you to learn much more about them. And last but not least, the restaurant awaits guests and serves fresh regional dishes. Bon appetit! Over the 7 years between late 2006 and 2013, the International Building Exhibition, known as IJGD Hamburg, has developed and implemented around 70 projects total, 63 of them being related to construction. These projects include homes, innovative case studies, educational and sports facilities, elderly residences, and many other places. Though telling you what these buildings do in general is important, a much more effective way to learn about any place's architecture would be asking the locals, and that's exactly what we've done.
It is quite difficult to compare an architecture here and in the center, because there it is a historical architecture in the center. It was created by historical traditions through the centuries, and these districts are located more further, they are less interesting. For example, I don't know concerning the other districts, but in my opinion, Wilhelmsburg is quite a boring district in terms of architecture.
This is Sebastian, a student from Mexico.
I've been living in Wilhelmsburg for about 2 years, since October 2016. At the beginning I was very surprised because I was expecting a lot of different stuff from what I hear. But when I got to live here, like I started looking at the buildings, like here the Stubenplatz, I find that very interesting how it is. And yeah, I find it very interesting how they kept some buildings that are like with this Klinkerbau, and then they built also some new ones, and they are sanating some of them in the last couple of years, and I find it very nice.
Considering Seoul Park is such a unique place in terms of aesthetics, we figured that hearing what these people have to say about it would be interesting.
Well, the only thing that makes me happy is the building near S-Bahn. It's a new modern architecture. It is kind of making my eyes happier. From the other side, these sleeping districts and also this park that was built recently, they make me happier. However, the other parts of the city are absolutely not pretty. Frankly speaking, my eyes barely cannot catch a nice shot.
I really like it. It's really nice because you can also take boats and do a canoe trip, and it's really nice to do sports. And beside that there is this climbing park, and that kind of stuff is actually very nice. There's lots to do there.
And here's Murat, a 15-year-long resident.
I think Seoul Park was made very well. It's beautiful. New people from other cities are coming. You can see beautiful gardens, you can sit down with your friends and have fun. I think it's great.
Since they have been living here for quite some time, they might be able to tell us in what ways their way of life has changed over the course of their residency.
I think Wilhelmsburg is changing a lot because it was a very cheap neighborhood to live, and it is still compared to the center of Hamburg, and a lot of students and other people start coming here with families, and that changed a little bit the structure of the place. And you can see it around that you have like new coffee shops and things like that that are like kind of different, and it's good, it's very nice to see that change, but it's also in some parts a little bit sad because there are kind of some people are being pushed away of these buildings because they're getting renovated and getting expensive, and then those people that used to pay a little bit less money, they cannot afford them anymore. So it's kind of two sides of the coin. That I mean, I myself am one of these persons, the students that come here and live in a cheap place, but I mean, it's hard to really say if it's good or bad. But still, I find that kind of interesting, this change of the routine. And I mean, hopefully it will be for the good, this change, but I guess we will see with time.
Die Viertel früher, vor 3 Jahren.
3 years ago, everything in this quarter was old. 2 to 3 years ago, the quarter started changing and everything became modern. Fights often happen and policemen have to intervene, but everything is changing now.
Aber so mäßig, alles hat sich geändert.
Architecture of Wilhelmsburg, as well as the people of Wilhelmsburg, have been changing rapidly in the last few years. As new people from all over the world come to the city, new buildings are being built. The contrast between aesthetically appealing buildings and the common residential area, combined with a vibrant neighborhood, does not only attract people with an immigrant background, but Germans as well. In conclusion, architecture consists of more than just the creation of places in which to live, but also of the atmosphere and liveliness of any place, and there's no exception to that. Sounds pretty artistic, doesn't it?